It is with the greatest sorrow that we make the following announcement. The king passed peacefully away in his sleep.
My Hero Academia has ended. Basically, Kohei Horikoshi's superhero battle shonen began running in Shonen Jump in July of 2014, and just wrapped up its manga run in 2024, with the anime ending too urgently for me making this video not to be a genuine way for me to cope. Very few manga get to live out their lives to the old age of 10, but My Hero Academia is one of them, and I love it so much. Call me a cringe fan, I don't give a shit. My Hero Academia is a great action anime, and today, we're ranking every arc in the series. Welcome to the UA Classroom. Coming in at dead last, we have the Endeavor Agency arc. Now, the number 1 hero may be coming in at number 20 in this ranking, but it's important to keep in mind that none of these arcs are bad. Even the greatest sin of this one is something outside of the actual story of the arc and can be laid at the feet of Studio Bones. The decision to put this arc before My Villain Academia so that the season could end on the high of that arc. The secondary sin of this arc is that the animation just isn't that good. It's still solid during the few action scenes of the arc, but there's a lot of reminiscing on better arcs through still frames of them. But this arc does give us a lot more lore and context on the Todoroki family and Endeavor himself.
I've been thinking since supplementary lessons. You're a jerk.
The Todoroki family dinner is a great scene on its own, and a great warm-up for Dabi's dance recital. Learning more about Natsuo and Fuyumi is also really interesting, and they're genuinely realistically written for a family this hellish. Especially Fuyumi basically adopting a mother role at such an early age, and then becoming a schoolteacher. And to be fair, I do like the undercover intrigue with Hawks, even if it doesn't really make sense yet. It will though. Now we get into the tough part, because I knew I liked Endeavor Agency the least, but when I really do at least like all of these arcs, how do I rank them? I had to start looking at what these arcs do better than any other arc, and unfortunately, besides being in the right place, the Final Exams arc does nothing better than any other arc. It has fun character building moments with students studying for the test portion that other arcs do better in their fun episodes. There is also good action in between the rest of Class 1A that is done much better as the series goes on. Really, the only part of it that stands out at all to me is the development between Deku and Bakugo. Seeing Bakugo in his getting worse phase of development is actually pretty unique. Him clocking Deku during their exams is actually a lot worse to me than telling Izuku something that, let's be honest, most middle schoolers will say at some point. Yeah, I think some of y'all forget that when Bakugo tells Izuku to
take a swan dive off the roof of the building,
he is literally 14 years old. Have you met a 14-year-old boy? They're demons. Now, it's a little weird to say this while putting it at number 18 of 20, but I think that the Remedial Course Arc is really overhated. Does it have great action? No, not really. Does it have most of the characters I like? Also no. Does it make any big changes in the plot? Definitely no. But I swear I like it, guys. It's nice to see Bakugo and Shoto again in a significant way after them being legally disbarred from participating in the previous arc, and I actually like these students of Shiketsu High a lot more in this arc than in the one they're introduced in. And I think it's an especially cool arc for Bakugo and Endeavor as well. They're both characters who have progressed a lot in their actual status in their individual worlds, but now actually need to grow as people. Toshinori, officially retired from being All Might, talks to Endeavor about what type of hero he wants to be. And Bakugo learns how to be less of a dick.
if you keep looking down on everyone else, you'll never be able to see your own weaknesses. That's just some advice from one of your elders, so don't forget it.
For our number 16 arc, I'm grouping the entrance exams, quirk apprehension test, and battle trial arcs all into one. They all serve the same purpose to me, which is to introduce us to UA, Class 1A, and have Deku get a win over Bakugo, who is pretty much the antagonist of this small part of the story. The main thing I really appreciate about this arc, and why I'm putting it above arcs that I even enjoy rewatching more, is the consistency that it has with the rest of the series. There's pretty much no character whiplash at all. Any character changes we get from this point are completely believable, to me at least, and I think that's really impressive. And the next arc is like this one if it had more ass kicking. While the entrance exams arc is a training arc with a little bit of action like most of the training arcs, the USJ arc is the first true battle arc of the series. What may seem like a training arc at the beginning quickly becomes the students' first encounter with real villains. Yeah, get used to this 1A. Freshman year only gets harder from here. While we've seen All Might throw some hands, this is the first time we've seen him throw hands to protect his new students. And it's awesome. All Might's fight against the Nomu is one of, if not the best moment of the first season. I also find it impressive that Nomu and someone having multiple quirks in them, both concepts that have become so important to the series, are introduced here, and like with the characters in the entrance exam arc, there's no weird whiplash with how it is later in the series. The only thing I do find strange about this arc is, I just don't believe that the League of Villains would have this many shooters at this point in the series. Like, Shigaraki is a loser. In this arc at least. God, he's so scary now. I miss this. But action and general happiness are overrated. Let's have a soul-crushing arc.
The USJ and the training camp.
You got duped!
I led them to us both times. Midoriya, it's true. I am a revolting villain.
The UA traitor, along with Dabi's true identity and how Midnight is employed by a high school, was one of the longest standing mysteries of the series. Ever since the UA traitor was mentioned as a certainty by Principal Nezu, fans had a ton of theories on who it could be. I never liked the idea of it being Hagakure. Having the traitor just be the invisible one always felt like a really lazy idea to me. I really didn't like the idea of it being Kaminari, especially since it was partially predicated on him doing the meta liberation hand signal at one point. And if he were taunting his classmates, it would make it really hard for this not to just be genuine character assassination. But I actually really love the way that this twist is done. Aoyama being the traitor in exchange for his received quirk from All For One makes a lot of sense, especially since his parents are the one who actually did it. It explains why Aoyama's quirk is especially harmful to his body, having never been meant for it, why he did the thing with the cheese that one time, and why he's pretending to be French. You see, being French is so evil that it hides any actual traitorous acts he's committing. Of every arc in My Hero, there is not one I have turned around on more than Versus Hero Killer. I never disliked it. As I've already said, I am completely brainwashed by this anime, so I can't physically do that. But Stain's reintroduction in the Tartarus escape and then assisting All Might, not just with his words, but literally tag teaming All For One with him, has made me go from being very so-so on this arc to kinda loving it. I still don't like how much darker and dingier the color palette is than in most My Hero arcs, but it's for a purpose. This is a darker arc. I also really love the way it develops Ida's character and reinforces Shoto as a friend to Deku and the rest of Class 1A. Now, it was already hard to rank these arcs, but this is where we're really splitting hairs. In fact, this is so difficult that you should probably like and definitely subscribe. The Provisional Hero License exam kind of feels like a redux of another arc we haven't talked about yet. A competitive setting among students where we meet a ton of new hero hopefuls, have some surprising losses, and a really cool speech by Eraserhead at one point. My favorite thing about this arc is probably meeting these students and teachers of other hero academias, boosted by Horikoshi not just leaving those characters in this arc, but even having them all the way into the final war. It is also important to remember that this is a ranking of the anime arcs, and honestly, the filler in this arc of Momo and her little group is good enough that I just wish it were manga canon, and I'm gonna pretend it is. I also really like the decision to have Bakugo and Todoroki, Class 1A's star students at this point in the series, not pass the test. It makes the arc that follows this one feel even scarier. The only thing I don't love about it is the rescue portion. I think Horikoshi got really good at writing Uraraka when he developed her dynamic with Toga more, but this part of the arc just doesn't do it for me. And the wind guy pisses me off.
Honestly, nothing's changed. I still don't like you. Sorry!
Class 1A versus 1B, or the joint training arc, is what I would call the last truly normal arc of this ranking. It's a really solid training arc, where we meet a bunch of new characters and see new peaks for Class 1A. No deaths or huge character changes, but subtle and small developments. And Ida doing mind-blowing shit. Imagine you're in gym class and the guy you're sparring against starts going like Mach 8? The biggest plot developments we get are definitely Deku unlocking Black Whip and the return of Hitoshi Shinso. Really the first time Horikoshi brought back a fan favorite character after this many arcs. I think this laid the groundwork for him to feel comfortable bringing back characters like Stain and Gentle Criminal. And the biggest character development in this arc probably comes from Bakugo. We haven't seen him really work on a team like this since the Remedial Course Arc, and we've never seen him do it in a fight like this. And I love everyone's new outfits.
What the hell are you wearing?
It's my ass-kicking outfit, bitch!
Now this next one might be my actual most controversial ranking on this list. You can call it rage bait, but I call it having joy in my heart. The UA School Festival takes the stage at number 11. Now besides story beats, action, character development, animation, all that stuff, there's an element to this ranking that will be more and more important as we get into the top 10. The quirk factor. What do these arcs do that none of the other ones say they can do? And I'll be damned if you can find another My Hero arc where the climax is a concert. Like, seriously, if I forgot about there being another one, I'll be damned to hell. This is a binding vow. I don't love the action here. Gentle Criminal and La Brava kinda annoy me in this arc, honestly, but that's not the point of it. The point of it is to throw a kick-ass concert and to see Eri smile, and that is worth watching a million fight scenes that I'm kinda on. I love the focus on Jiro here. This arc really couldn't have centered around anyone else in Class 1A, but it's still a treat to have her be more essential in this part of the story. But what I really love is that this is important to the rest of Class 1A too. They still talk about the concert as being an important thing that they all went through together arcs and arcs after this. School Festival is kinda a controversial arc in My Hero since it doesn't really progress the plot forward that much. And I think a less confident author would have their characters shove it under the rug, but the confidence to do different stuff like this is part of what makes me love this series. Plus, the song is actually good. Starting our top 10, we have the arc that I am by far the most split on, the Paranormal Liberation War. With the final war having been in full swing since Season 7, and basically just feeling like a better, more well-written version of this arc, I have quite a few complaints. I think it was overhated when this arc was airing, but the color palette of it is just a little strange. The sky is too bright and the settings are too dull. I think this is the weakest the internal struggle between All For One and Shigaraki is written, like ever. And I seriously dislike the way Horikoshi handled bringing back Lemillion. It just doesn't feel significant to me. On the other hand,
I'm happy to help you build a new life. Because I think you are a good person. Shut up.
Threaten people so you can do what you want! And you deserve whatever's coming to you! There's my answer.
this arc has some heat.
The past never dies. You will reap everything you've sown! Enji Todoroki!
Toga becoming a more hardened villain is really interesting and sad, while Twice's death and the long-awaited reveal of Toya Todoroki are two of my favorite moments in the back half of this series. The heroes do also have good moments in this arc. I especially love Bakugo saving Deku, paralleling Bakugo's encounter with the sludge villain, but this is really the villain's arc. Besides the villain's arc that's coming up. Right now, actually. Of every arc, this one may have the most quirked up quirk factor of all. Most shonen series would not be able to do an arc fully centered around the villains, but that's exactly what the Meta Liberation Army arc, aka My Villain Academia, does. Horikoshi put in the work developing the League of Villains. From being introduced to most of them as part of the Vanguard Action Squad, they have become a part of the show just as essential as Class 1A or the Pro Heroes. Shigaraki has morphed into a demon who haunts my dreams in the current season, but this is really where, for the first time, I thought,
In the end, you're just big. That's all. I understand how fun it is to destroy something you hate, but that's not happening here.
damn, this guy is cool. Not all of the League gets the same level of development. Granted, I've heard some stuff was cut from the manga, but I haven't read up to this point in the My Hero manga. But Toga, Twice, and Shigaraki all progress, or regress depending on your perspective, a lot. And speaking of perspective, I also really like the antagonists of this arc, the Meta Liberation Army, a lot. They make a very solid point that if you regulate quirk use, you are essentially stopping people from using their natural abilities to their best use. Is it right to not let a mind control guy just run around and do that? Who knows? And it has one of my favorite endings to any arc. Tomura Shigaraki becoming Grand Commander and his league becoming lieutenants of the Paranormal Liberation Front is really cool to see, even if that name sucks. League of Villains and Meta Liberation Army were both much better names, but speaking of names, coming in at number 8, we would have what I call the first major departure arc for the series, the Shie Hassaikai. And to reuse a joke from my last video, we need the Shie Hassaikai. God, that has incredible mouthfeel. Try it. Shie Hassaikai. It's wonderful. This is the first arc that basically replaces our main villain cast, putting the League of Villains in a more sympathetic place when compared to the Shie Hassaikai and their abused child-sourced medicine. It's also the first and one of the only arcs where the main protagonist is arguably not Deku. Mirio Togeda, aka Lemillion, is one of the most well-written later introduced characters, right up there with Hawks and the Windex head guy from My Villain Academia. At the beginning of the arc, Togeda is hailed by Eraserhead as closest to being the next number 1, including the pros. High praise, with even higher expectations behind it. Almost impossible to live up to, but Lemillion does. Up there with a lot of moments we're still to get to, Lemillion protecting Eri from the rewind bullet and still fighting for her makes me cry quite literally every time I watch it. We also meet new pro heroes. I really like Fat Gum and Sir Night-Eye. This is a great arc for Kirishima. And have I mentioned how fun it is to say Shie Hassaikai? And their lieutenants are called the 8 Bullets of the Shie Hassaikai? Guys, can I join? At number 7, we've got what I call a Sabrina Carpenter arc, because this is short and sweet. And I want the blonde one to fuck me so bad. Star and Stripe vs. Shigaraki is only a 2-episode arc, but those 2 episodes have me on the edge of my seat every time I watch it. Star and Stripe is a really cool, if brief, character. We hear frequently how All Might is a symbol of peace for the entire world, but we've never seen such a clear example of his influence across the globe until now. This is also, to this point, I think the scariest Shigaraki for one is. He's gotten so smart at using his multiple quirks, and Shigaraki's English VA, Eric Vale, absolutely crushes it.
Stop stalling and hand over New Order! I promise I'll use it in ways you never dreamed possible!
Also, while I know people have mixed feelings on Star and Stripe's death, I find it all the more impressive when an author can make me care about a character this much in this little time. Plus, her and All For One's spirits having a screaming match inside Shigaraki is like, weirdly cool to me, I don't know. I just love that since All For One really does see himself as the protagonist of, like, the world, that his greatest villain, All Might, keeps coming back to haunt him.
You treacherous swine! You cheater!
This is just a super entertaining battle between one very OP quirk and a bunch of pretty OP quirks. It feels like a game of chess where you're also knife fighting. It's great. Plus, I feel like this is a metaphor for Japan and America in World War II, but I don't feel like explaining that right now. And the next arc is like this one, but better. At number 6, we have the Pro Hero arc, probably more well known as the High-End Nomu fight, or, as I call it, Japanese Hero Billboard Charts. This arc not only introduces Mirko to the roster, and by extension created the Megan Thee Stallion Mirko cosplay, thank you God, but gives us Hawks. Keigo Takumi, the industry plant hero, is a great character later on, but in this arc, he's just cool as hell, and honestly that's enough. The animation, pacing, and music are all incredible. This arc gets your blood pumping and really presents a new bar for action in the series. This arc is also extremely important for Endeavor's story of atonement, putting his life on the line to stop a horrific villain and protect civilians, even hitting the All Might pose to end it.
Look at him!
Every one of these arcs has been at least good, and at a certain point they were at least great. But now we're reaching something beyond greatness. Beginning our top 5, we have the Forest Training Camp arc. This arc blends training and battle arcs in a wonderful way, better than any other has. Seeing Class 1A and parts of 1B develop their quirks is really cool. I love when this series treats quirks like real physical abilities that need to be trained and developed. And in the same way that I do with Class 1A in the entrance exams, I find it really impressive that there's basically no character whiplash with the League of Villains members introduced here. And on top of that, this arc has great action for this point in the series. While it may not stand out much now, scenes like Deku vs. Muscular and Bakugo's kidnapping are heart-pounding. Plus, with little story hints like Bakugo seemingly showing some concern for Deku, and Dabi knowing more about Shoto than he's letting on, it's a great arc to rewatch. But not as fun to rewatch as...
Nice trick, Todoroki!
I won't let you get away so easily! You icy hot bastard!
the UA Sports Festival. I was already pretty into this show by the time USJ was wrapped up, but UA Sports Festival was the arc that really got me to fall in love with it. The animation is a notable step up from Season 1, the color palette isn't only better, but the shading and motion look fantastic. This arc does a great job using My Hero Academia's wide cast, especially Class 1A, with great moments for Ida, Tokoyami, and Uraraka. And especially great character development for Deku, but especially for Bakugo and Todoroki. Through his fights with Uraraka and Todoroki, we see more of Bakugo's worldview, concepts of winning, and genuine fears and insecurities. And Todoroki himself is basically the highlight character of this arc, turning him from an icy edgelord to someone who is willing to accept both sides of their quirk and themselves. On top of that, introducing Hitoshi Shinso and Nato Monoma, two of my favorite non-1A students. I just love this arc, guys. But not as much as I love.
I recognize that voice. It's you! Midoriya, right?
Vigilante Deku. Vigilante Deku, officially known as the Dark Hero Arc, isn't just great character development for Deku, but is Horikoshi's love letter to American vigilante comics. Like, when Deku is swinging around and anonymously dropping villains off to the police, I just know that little Spider-Man fanboy Horikoshi was giggling and kicking his feet. This arc gives Deku more time to get acquainted with his other quirks and their former wielders, have some kick-ass action, grow a bit more independent from All Might in Class 1A, and break my heart. Deku's insistence that he has to be on his own, away from UA High and their evacuees, is understandable for how terrified he is of All For One and Shigaraki, but is also really sad to watch. I started this series when I was quite a bit younger. I related to Deku, but now as I've grown up, I see him more as my little baby boy, and I can't handle him being horrifically depressed. His quick round 2 fight against Muscular is insanely cool, and his fight against the new villain, Lady Nagant, is heart-pounding and heartwarming. Even in the pit of darkness Deku is still in, he reaches out his hand to Lady Nagant, something that has become a motif in this series, telling her that she can still be a hero. And then...
They were made in a factory. A bomb factory. They're bombs.
But the elements of this arc that put it this high in the ranking are the insane quirk factors, even extending to the animation feeling so different in Deku vs. Class 1A. Every single VA for the students really puts their back into this heartbreaking action scene as they plead with their friend to please accept their help. They don't want to be protected by Deku's absence, they want to protect each other. I love seeing this plan from Class 1A come together. You see how even without Deku and his quirked up notebooks, they've formulated a plan to subdue him until they can try and talk some sense into him. And the stars of this rescue, to me, Uraraka, Bakugo, and especially Ida, are just beautifully written. You know how much Uraraka pleading with Deku to return means to him. Ingenium racing to Izuku in the sky and repeating the piece of wisdom passed from All Might to Deku to Ingenium makes me sob every time. And the crap that Bakugo still needs to tell Deku is one of my favorite parts of their development as protagonist and deuteragonist. I know people hate on this apology for just being an apology from Bakugo and not like weird self-flagellation, and also hate that Deku doesn't like tell Bakugo off, but I love it. Genuinely apologizing like this in front of the class in such an open and vulnerable way is a huge step for a character like Bakugo. I don't know if you guys have ever met a teenage douchebag, but like, that's hard for them.
Bakugo Katsuki is not a monster!
And I know that some people with emotional issues who haven't gotten over their own childhood bullies wish that Deku would like scream at Bakugo or beat the shit out of him, but Deku wouldn't do that, guys. He's baby boy. Now folks, I don't mean to alarm you, but we're in the last 2. Process of elimination would get you pretty close to the answer, but I'll help you out. My number 2 favorite arc in My Hero Academia is the man of the moment, the Final War arc. I'm not going to spoil this arc too hard, especially the stuff from Season 8, but this has been some of the most compelling, emotional, and even fun stretches of Battle Shonen I've seen in a long, long time. There are so many incredible moments, reveals, returns, and fights that I don't even know where to begin. So like, here we go, I guess. The way it starts gets me so pumped, redeeming Aoyama for his betrayal towards his class, to bringing back Hitoshi Shinso and Neito Monoma to set the stage for the final battle. The plan to split up the villains sets the perfect stage for these characters who have become rivals and foils to fight and interact. The fight against Shigaraki in the Coffin in the Sky is pulse-pounding before and after Deku arrives. Best Jeanist talking shit on Shigaraki, Bakugo pretty much sacrificing his life, and Lemillion actually having a better moment here than in the Paranormal Liberation War. And speaking of returns, we have Gentle Criminal, La Brava, and Lady Nagant turning their backs on their old villainous ways. Toga's heartbreaking fight against Uraraka and her incredible use of her fallen friend Jean. Spinner finally fulfilling his role as both a leader for heteromorphs and a pawn for All For One to retrieve Kurogiri, contrasted with Koda and Tentacle being a beacon for those with more apparent quirks. Dabi and Shoto's therapeutic fight in Kamino Ward and Endeavor damn near demonetizing himself trying to burn up with his son for his own sins. And then, in turn, Dabi realizing that his family is finally all looking at him. Shigaraki himself going from horrifying and cocky to a confused child to a defensive monster, all the while drooling over Eraserhead. Endeavor and Hawks fighting All For One over the ruins of Gunga Villa, and him playing his rewind card and getting more horrifying with each second he ages backwards.
Am I being influenced by the other me? I feel something violent roiling deep in my core. And the younger I get, the harder it is to control my dark urges.
And Toshinori coming back into the fight quirkless as Armored All Might to face All For One, and that's all in Season 7. In Season 8 already, we have Bakugo saving All Might and whooping a tremendous amount of ass on All For One after, and Deku facing and sacrificing nearly everything to take down history's greatest and scariest villain, Tomura Shigaraki, who is talking some incredible shit. The final war is at many times heartbreaking and difficult to watch. I have screamed please stop at my TV so many times watching Shigaraki fuck Deku up, but it also feels like a celebration. The final war exemplifies so many of the things I love about My Hero Academia. How full of joy and hope it is, but also ass-kicking. I think that will be the extent of it I reveal, because it is still second best compared to...
One more time, Katsuki Bakugo, aspiring hero. Will you join the League of Villains?
Go throw yourself into traffic.
The Hideout Raid Arc. This is my favorite arc in all of My Hero Academia. Hideout Raid is not very long, coming in at only 5 episodes. But like the Japanese hero billboard charts and Star and Stripes arc, that is part of what makes me love it all the better. Watching it the first time, I was so worried Horikoshi would take a generic route of having Bakugo say, "Heh, maybe I should be a villain." But that is never even a possibility for him. This little asshole is a hero, just like All Might. All Might's fight against All For One, a character we've really only heard of up until now, it's genuinely perfect, and so is Bakugo's rescue squad, rescuing Bakugo. Both perfect, no notes. Bakugo has to literally take his friend's hand, his friend who is also executing a Deku plan no less, to get out of the grasp of the League. It pushes his character forward and ultimately lays the groundwork for his breakdown fighting Deku in Season 4. And All Might vs. All For One isn't just an incredibly exciting farewell fight for the symbol of peace, but has reveals that shake the foundation of the show to its core. Add in the heroes coming to assist All Might, including Gran Torino and Endeavor gassing him up, and I'm about to cry just writing about it, and talking about it, and now hearing myself talk about it as I edit. If this series hadn't caught fire like it did, I really think Horikoshi could have used this as a pretty solid off-ramp to end the series. Thank God he didn't have to. I absolutely love this show. My Hero has been one of my favorite, if not my favorite anime ever since I started it way back when, and I'm so glad that it's going out with a bang. A lot of bangs actually, thanks to Bakugo. But that is the video for this week. I had a lot of fun ranking these. Let me know your rankings down in the comments, or just like, I don't know, if you have takes, if you have disagreements, just, you know, don't be like too rude about it. But I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching that video. If you made it to this point in the video, a double thank you so much. Here's the one with my rings on it. Yeah, I had a great time doing this. Ranking videos are really fun and like kind of easy for me to make, because I used to be a big ol' runner. Now I'm just a little ol' runner. But there's something about the little milestones that you get with doing a ranking video where it's like, oh, I'm done with like that one, now on to the next one. And those like little hits of dopamine kind of remind me of doing like repeats on like the track. But yeah, also this video is also going to be on my now second, I guess, kind of main channel, because it's where I'll be posting like only like bigger edited videos like this, and like no like quick reviews or like my like podcast if I do that again. That is going to be called the Shane Zone. I'm going to have it in the description. But what I have to show off for my collection this week, this will continue to be something that's only on Casual Classroom, is the Soul Eater art book. It's pretty new. It's called, well, it's very new to me because I got it yesterday. But it's called Soul Eater Soul Art Encore. And it's great. It's got all the art from like the Soul Eater collections. It's got a lot of like extra stuff like from the DVDs and like stuff like that. My favorite one though is a mock-up little thing that they did of Maka and Edward Elric doing like a like dapping each other up basically. And I'm rereading Full Metal Alchemist right now for maybe some video stuff that might come up. But yeah, that's my favorite one. Let me know what your guys' favorite arc is down in the comments, and I'll see y'all next time. I gotta go do some family stuff. Thanks for joining us as always. Bye y'all.